All right, everyone, welcome back to another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter. And up here at the top, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, it is Hank the Bass Geek.
What's up, everybody? Yeah,
What
hope
is
everybody is
happening?
out there doing some fall fishing and catching a few.
Oh, yes. What's happening, brother? What's going on in your world? And then we'll jump over to mine, and then we'll get this show rolling.
The same old stuff, man. Just pumping out some videos. We dropped a new one yesterday, kind of in a series.
Mm-hmm.
Love or hate forward-facing sonar. It is really helping me learn a lot more about bass behavior. And for those guys that don't have it, it does translate to what they're doing. And, we've literally followed a groups of bass from where we found them during the summer. And we've got this whole series to where they are now 5 miles
Oh,
down the
wow.
lake from where they started. And so, we'll be releasing, this is kind of the second video, third video
Yeah.
in it where they've really moved about 1.5 miles. And, working on tonight, the third edition of that,
Right.
where we keep going after them. That's pretty interesting video. People, it's, we've always wondered how far bass travel. And, they travel 5 miles in just a week, couple 3 weeks.
That's crazy. Hey, also, guys, I watched the video he put up the other day about don't cut the hair off.
Yeah, don't shave your buzz bait.
Don't shave your buzz bait. It's pretty daggone good, and that's something you don't see that often, man. That's a getting back to that. There was a company, good gosh, geek, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and they were pumping out the buzz bait and all the jigs with all the hair and all that stuff. But ain't a whole lot of people do that anymore.
No, there's not. That's for Big Daddy baits.
Yeah.
What I love about that is that buzz bait is so versatile, and you can literally shove a trailer up on it. The size of the trailer will cause that buck hair to flare. So you can actually get a bigger profile. Or you can go trailerless and it'll be a nice little tight little, profile with just some really subtle movement to it. You can bend it up and make it clack. You can bend it down and make it, not clack, actually reverse that. My dyslexia got to.
It's all good.
But yeah, man, I mean, that's a good little buzz bait. I've really got into them.
You know what, that Big Daddy, I was thinking, I was talking about that company. I think they were called Buckhead Lures is what it was called.
I think I do remember.
Yeah, we had a conversation about them, and the Buckhead Lures, and they went out of business, unfortunately. And I do remember they never, they had a great product. They never got it really off the ground. And, in 2020, even in 2020, you have to be professional. I mean, you got to have great looking product, which they did, but you actually have to have a great looking display as well.
Yes.
And they were still putting them in Ziploc bags and mailing them to my house. I mean, it wasn't nothing. There was no name on it or nothing, no color on it, no nothing. But it was a great bait. But
that's not the way you want to do it to the end user, to the consumer. You want it to be professional packaging.
Right.
Look, I don't care that some of the companies I work with, they throw them in a freezer bag and send them to me all day. I don't care what they come in. But save some money on that. As long as I got them and I can fish them, I don't mind.
But when you're putting them on shelves and selling to individuals, you need to be sharp.
Oh yeah. There's another company called Rabid Baits.
Okay.
That actually they do soft plastics, and they'll put little tufts of, I think it's fox hair that they use.
Wow.
And now don't quote me on that. I'll tell you what, now they've got one that's called the it's a fox shot, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's just a little old minnow looking fox shot bait with hair coming out the end that looks like the tail. I'll tell you what, now that thing has been money for me when I'm out there scoping at times.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting here looking at their website right now, and yeah, they got some interesting stuff with the hair. I mean, they got like,
Yeah.
what in the world? See if this takes us to the website real quick. Okay. Um, yeah, they got a rabbit base, 3.5 rabbit darter is what they
Yep.
call it, and it's some interesting stuff. So, yeah, check them out. That's pretty cool. But yeah, the Basscast was on the road again. Congratulations to Aaron and Connor, our Waymasters. They won our first ever Bass Cast Tournament Trail event. They've come pretty daggone close. And by now, hopefully, the sound of my ear, you guys have all seen the 962 that was brought out by by Aaron. Congratulations to him. That thing was a tank. I think it was a football. It was like a double football. Is that fat? It didn't even hardly fit in our bag, our weigh bag, to be honest, because we got some nice weigh bags and we put them in there, and it was like, holy cow. And then by the time you put the other 4 in there, because he had a 6-pounder with it, and then a couple of like 2s, holy cow. And it was close by 0.10 is what they ended up winning by. So
Wow.
congratulations to them. I headed down, I apologize, down to the 5 Alive Championship down on Lake Gaston, the home of the 2-pounders. You guys all know what I'm talking about. Spotted bass down there. It's full of them daggone things, but a couple of the anglers did and were able to catch some of the largemouth bass. Most of them reported having to go up in the river to catch them. So congratulations to everyone that fished that. And I did delete it. Gosh, dog it. I was going to announce the winner, but it's all up on the basscast.com. So head on over and check that out. Congratulations to everyone there. And it's been a long time since I've been to Lake Gaston. I mean, it's a 2.5-hour trip from the house. And it was a 3-hour trip home after I stopped and ate dinner. So it was a long day on the daggone road for being down there for an hour and a half. But it was great.
I've never been to that lake.
You ain't missing nothing. But it was a great time. Now, Lake Gaston's one of them lakes that you hope will eventually turn into a lot of the others, spotted bass lakes that bring the 4 and 5-pounders.
Yeah.
You just need enough of them to just keep eating each other. That's what you need for them to grow. So,
what do they have, herring? Are there herring in that lake?
That's a great question. I want to say it is, but that's
a big key. I mean, if you're going to have it does seem like to have a successful spotted bass lake, you almost have to have the herring.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, catching tanks, he sent me a photo. If you guys are not following him on social media, he sent me a photo. And he ended up going down to Gaston. He told me he's going to go hunting, but instead, with the wind blowing, he decided to skip the hunting, and he went fishing instead. And Landweaver, guys, is one of and John Edwards. They had 14, a little over 14 on day 1 and some 13 something on day 2. I think it was like a total weight of 29 pounds. Went to the 2808, and they took home $6,225. So congratulations to them on the win.
See, you talk about those weights being tough.
These are 2-day weights, though.
Listen, that's what it's like at every lake that I fish down here. Like, listen, if you pull in 14 pounds right now,
right,
you're doing something. Like you're a stud.
You a stud.
I mean, it gets tough. It gets tough.
So that's 2 days on that lake. So congratulations to them, and like I said, everyone at Cash Check. I think they end up paying back I can't remember. I think it's 8 or 9 places. So congratulations to them. Guys, we're kind of continuing, like Geek said, in a series, man. Talking to the Angler of the Years for 2023. And tonight we got Mr. JT Thompkins. He was the winner of the Bassmaster Open's EQ Series qualifier.
Names just keep getting longer.
I know it does. It was funny. Someone said something about the. I was watching TV the other day, and they were talking about. No, I was listening to Bass Radio podcast, Bassmaster Radio podcast, and they were talking about just the names, just just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
it's gonna change. It'll be called this next year by the time we year rolls around. So, but yeah,
it'll be the Ziploc bags, heavy duty, tough fishing, Bassmaster Open EQ qualifying tournament round 3.
yeah, you're 100% right, geek. That's crazy. But yes, so yes, tonight, Mr. JT Thompkins. Welcome to the show, JT, man. Long time. I ain't gonna say long time no talk to, because we did hang out for a little bit dinner in Bugs Island, right down the road from here, Clarksville, Virginia, when you guys fished the Open there. But we haven't had you back on the show in a while, so congratulations and welcome back, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much, and I appreciate you having me on here as well.
All right, let's dive into this thing, man. We got 5 questions for you. Keep you about 30 minutes or so and get the ball rolling. But first of all, we want to talk about the 2023 season. I looked it up. This is your 3rd season fishing the Opens. And in 2023, they went to the EQ qualification. Let's talk about that a little bit, man. What were your thoughts going into the 2023 season and your thoughts on, this new EQ qualification where you had to fish all 9?
Yeah, I was actually pretty happy about the way they did the formatting and made it to where 9 people qualify through the overalls. I feel like that was a more well-rounded way to qualify for the elites, to make sure that whenever you do qualify, you're actually properly prepared. So I feel like that was a really good way personally, and I enjoyed to be a part of the guys that qualified this year in that group, because I feel like it was really competitive. I feel like we saw a huge step up in competition this year because of that format. So I was really looking forward to going in this year, looking at the format. I just knew it fit the way I like to fish better. I'm more consistent than quick bursts, so
Right.
I really liked it.
How'd you like feeling part of the young guns, man? We had a lot, and going into the final event, there was a whole lot of young anglers like out there, just like yourself. It's been named. I actually brought it up. I posted a story the other day about it. Probably one of the youngest fields to ever come into the 2024 Elite Series.
Yeah, for sure. I think the oldest one was Ben Milliken at
Yep.
35, and I think all the rest were below. I think all the rest were below 27 years old. So it's definitely got to be one of the youngest fields. And I believe even one of the tournaments, the average age for the top 3 was, I think, 20 years old or 19 years old. We had a 21, 21, and 18 with me, Tyler, and Trey McKinney. So it's definitely been a rookie season, or not a rookie season, but a younger guy's
Right.
season this year. And it's really cool to see that there's a new group of young anglers to, grow this sport to where we really want to see it go.
Oh yeah, and that's I've talked about it a lot. Uh, Everybody talks about the young guns. And they want to stigmatize you guys with the whole live scope thing, but I think that's the complete miss and a complete cop out by most people, because the truth of the matter of the fact is, you guys are coming up in a time when there's so much from the high school to the college, tournaments, really traveling nationwide. There's so much information out there, like shameless plug, Bass Geek on YouTube, putting out all kinds of info, so you guys really have the world by the cojones, preparing to move into this type of competition. So I guess it's more of a statement for me, than really a question. But how do you feel like your past has really prepared you to fish these opens like this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been fishing since I was probably 4 years old,
Yeah.
and I fished 2 seasons of high school. One season I know we dedicated. The rest of the other season we fished was kind of halfway, but I know we dedicated one good season of high school fishing, and we went to the national championship. So I did take advantage of the high school, and I didn't take advantage of the college. I felt like college wasn't in the books for me. At the time I had a win. When I was making the decision, I had a win under my belt in the Toyota Series, and I felt
Yep.
like with the amount of time I could spend on the water, I'd much rather my parents fund me for take the money that I would be going to college with and just fund me for a couple years. And I felt
There
like I
you
was going to
go.
be able to get to the elites like that. And, I think that's the only reason I'd be in the elites at 21 years old was because of that. So I'm really appreciative of my family allowing me to be able to have the opportunity that I have. And also, I feel like, I've been competing since I fished my first tournament when I was, I think, 6.
Holy cow.
Nice.
So yeah, so I've been fishing with my dad as a partner with my dad since I was 6 years old at Toys for
Yeah.
Tots tournament Wateree, and I never stopped until I was, where I am now. So that the competition's been, even though I'm young, I've been competing for, you know, 16 years,
Yeah,
15
and
years.
that's my point is that you guys have so much time on water now. I think, like I said, everybody wants to kind of go, oh, it's live scope, it's live scope. No, you have to. I always say you still have to find them to see 'em. And being
Amen.
able to find them is about time on the water. And you
Yep.
guys, you young guys, man, that's where we want this sport to be. That's why Bassmaster and MLF have pushed to get the feeders in place that are in place now, is so that you guys coming up are you've got the time on the water that it took somebody my age to, until I was 30, 35 to get, and I got a lot of respect for that. I think it's great. I think that's great for our sport.
Hmm.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like when we, for us photographers, when it went from film to digital. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like a huge jump. It's like, thank God we ain't got to buy film no more. We don't have to develop no more. It's like a huge jump up with the new electronics and everything going into the world of bass fishing. Um, you know, I want to rewind back to, we know you didn't go to college because when we had that conversation the first time we had you on the show, and
Mhm.
it was when you won the Toyota Series event. Um, what did your parents say when you go, I want to go bass fishing and can you give me my money? It's almost like the Bible verse, in the Bible where he goes, I just want to leave. Can I have my inheritance? I mean, it's like, what did your family say about that, man?
I'm very lucky to have the family that I have and the opportunities that they've given me. They were 100% supportive, of what I wanted to do. I know that they kind of wanted me to go to college, and fish in college, but
Mm-hmm.
I because they felt like it made me a more well-rounded person when it comes to being able to, you know, elaborate on selling myself in sponsorships and also be able to fish. They feel like it'd make me a more well-rounded angler when it comes to the sponsorship, social media side, and the fishing side over that. So I had to kind of convince them, to let me just, go out and just go fishing and let my ability to catch fish get me to where I need to go initially, and then I'll figure it out later. And that was probably the harder part to, get through, but it was never it was whatever I really wanted to do. I was lucky enough to be able to go do it,
That's
and
awesome.
that's kind of
That
where I was
is
at.
awesome.
You guys all know he's a part of fishing family. I got to meet your dad while you guys down at Bugs Island. So I mean, it's a big family thing for you all. And your dad fishes along with you as well. What is that, your cousin that fished with you?
Yes.
So it's three of you guys traveling up and down the road on the road fishing all these daggone tournaments. Let's talk about the season as a whole, guys. In 2023, here we go. Started back here at the Bassmaster Classic, the 24th. Uh, and then you had the first Open, finished 32nd. That was in Toledo Bend. Bugs Island cashed a nice check down there. He came in 8th. Wheeler Lake 11th. Lake Eufaula 14th. And then St. Lawrence River 7th. Watts Bar 2nd. Lake of the Ozarks 7th. And Harris Chain 22nd. What an awesome season, dude. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
that's tremendous. I mean, one tournament never really is a top 50.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say about the year. It was a spectacular year, to say the least. It seemed like every single time I made a decision, it was the right one. And when you're having those days where, you every time you need a fish, it just happens to be there. So that
Right.
was kind of how a lot of my year went. I mean, even with I got the fish that I needed, but I still had a lot of missed opportunities. Like I had a good bit of missed opportunities at a lot of events this year that I really could have moved up big time. But every single time it seemed like I skid by just enough to get that AOI. It was kind of funny looking back, like every tournament, whether it be last minute, last hour, an AOI deciding fish popped up in my live in my live well every time. And it was just, I don't know, when it was just your time, it was your time. And I think this year was my year because I don't know if I could ever duplicate another year again like I did this year, because that's just tough to do in a 225 boat field, especially with
Yes.
how competitive it was this
Yeah.
year.
Talk about that mindset going into this thing. Like you said, you brought up a fact of the fish just landed in your lap. I mean, you were at the right place at the right time. How did you keep that mindset together to keep you from getting spun out right there at the end when you needed that one or two fish to, finish in top 7, second, 8th, 11th?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it comes down to confidence in your ability and the confidence in your preparation. Like I spent a lot of time preparing and I spent a lot of time on the water, and I just kind of, when it comes down to it, I allow myself to naturally go about my day and naturally fish whenever, plans aren't working. I let my instincts take over. And it seems like whenever the times got tough, it almost, it was reassuring to know that I've done the work. I know that it's gonna happen. I just gotta put myself in position for it to happen. And I don't know, it's just confidence all year. Like I had good confidence in everything I was doing because the preparation and the work that I did prior to the events, that, you know, if
Right.
they were, if everybody was gonna catch them, I felt like I had the ability to catch them just as good. And that was kind of the confidence that I had all year that helped me.
Uh, yeah, that's pretty freaking awesome right there. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
is there a setup that you have, like a routine that you're in now after been doing this? It's crazy. We say this geek, but he's like, how old are you? 21, 22,
21.
21.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a 21-year-old here and talking about, his routine that he's been doing to help him win throughout these years to get to the point he's at now. When, probably when I was a kid, you're 21, you're just starting to professionally fish. I mean, now they're popping in. I mean, what Ike and Ellie was one of the youngest ones at one time. I mean, and that was
Yeah.
still like 1990s, late 90s. I'd already been working for 5 or 6 years, 7, 8, 10 years by the time Ike and Ellie was fishing. But do you have a routine set up for you, JT, man, that, has helped guide you through the season?
Yeah, I feel like a pretty decent routine. Everywhere I go, I research, front to back. I go through every single article, every BFL article, Toyota Series article, FLW, MLF, Bass, everything. I watch all the lives. And what happens whenever you do that, it's almost like you get, like, let's say you do 10 years of experience, or 10 years of research, you almost get 10 years of experience because
Hmm.
at most of the lakes that I was able to, research, I was able to go there, and I there was tournaments in the fall. There'd be articles on how they were won in the fall, how they were won in the
Right.
spring, how they won in the winter, how they were won in the summer. And if you take your time and really study it, you can almost figure out what the rotation of the fish are throughout the seasons and understand not only did you find the fish, you know where they're going to go and where they came from. And I feel like that was a big deal for me this year is when I went to places and I found them, I had so much preparation built up that no matter what happened in the practice, I knew where they should go or where they came from that they might back up to. And also that I was probably doing the number one deal on the lake to win.
Right.
And I already did the preparation in pre-practice scanning. So I've already found, probably more than most of the field, and I already know what the main deal is. All you have to do is actually catch the fish at that point. You've done the work, you found them, now you just have to catch them. And that's when I had the confidence that I don't have to go chase anything else. I know this is the deal. I just have to stick it out all day and it'll happen. And that was where my confidence came from this year, was just all of that put together, the research, the
Right.
pre-practice, the practice, and then the confidence in my fishing abilities from being on the water is my
Yeah.
routine.
How did your abilities do you felt, your key abilities do you felt played a major role in this, angler of the year, man?
I feel like I have a good rotation of baits that I have a lot of confidence in. I don't I do chase a little bit of outside baits, when it comes down to it. I did play with a glide bait this year. I played with a couple different big baits that,
Okay.
drew fish and got bigger bites throughout tournaments. But majority of it was, I have a couple confidence baits that I catch them everywhere in the country on. I have a chatterbait, jerkbait, and a jig. And I can basically take those three baits and go anywhere I want in the country and catch fish. Another big one that actually this year probably caught, I would say, at least 25 to 35% of my fish this year was probably a wacky rig. Like just a regular wacky rig,
yeah.
Senko green pump. I mean, it's impossible to beat. It doesn't matter if you're in 45 foot of water, you let it sink down, or if you're in a foot of water, skipping underneath docks for fish that are in a foot of water, you cannot beat it. And once you have the confidence in the baits that you're throwing the best bait, you're throwing it in the best spots, and you're doing it at the best time of year, it's gonna happen eventually. Like as long as you don't miss opportunities, miss fish, and you get them in the boat, you're probably gonna have a good event once you have all that preparation done before
Right.
the tournament.
This your season kicked off good. I'm not going to, and you like top 50 in the first 3 events. I mean, the lowest you were was at 48th place, and that was on Lake Eufaula. What was that pivotal moment change for you, or was it just the bodies of water that we went to later on that you got, 8th, 11th, 14th, 7th? I mean, from there, just like top 20s, top 25s.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the one thing I have noticed in every single season I've had, my first event has always been my worst event.
Okay.
Almost every single time, without a doubt. I mean, when I won my Toyota Series at Harris Chain, my first tournament of the year before that was 195th
Good.
on Harris Chain. 195th. The year after that, I had 160th on Toho, Florida. So once I think the main thing is I have a pretty busy offseason. Like I'm fishing a lot, but I feel like my tournament decision making during that off break, there's something that happens that I don't make as good decisions in the tournament, or I'm not, as sharp as I am typically with whether it be live scope, my, setting the hook, make sure I have my everything dialed in perfectly to, put myself in the best position to have success. So
Yeah.
whenever I went to Eufaula and I had a not a good practice, I found out it was a ledge tournament after the fact. I didn't even know ledges were a deal. I've definitely, there was a hole in my research there. I should have known there was ledges. That was one thing that I definitely realized, looking back, that was a, slip up. And that cost me, that's what put me at 40th place because I had a really good brush pile deal going. I lost 3/5, 2/5 pounds and won like 3.5 plus in that tournament that I saw. And I had one. I had to break it off in a brush pile. It was still on the line and everything, and I just couldn't. There was nothing I could do. It was too deep, and so that tournament. Once I got and I already felt confident in the first tournament of the year, then I went to the classic, and I got the confidence from being around the best anglers in the world and competing, making the cut in a Bassmaster Classic. Once I saw that I could do it, that was the confidence that carried me throughout the rest of the year. And it just seemed like every single tournament that went by, the more confident I got in my abilities and the better decision making because of that I made all year.
Yeah. I think a lot of times the first tournament of the year, it's always seeming the hardest tournament because there's so much anticipation. And then once you get through that, the second, it really becomes a little more, you kind of settle in a lot of times. That seems like that's maybe what happened to you.
You also brought up a second ago that you fish a lot and you fish a lot during the off season, different tournaments, etc. Do you think you might, need that time? Do you take that time to decompress? I mean, before the season begins, or JT's just fishing all the way up to day number 1? I mean, we're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I love being on the water as much as I possibly can. The more I'm on the water, the better. I mean, the thing is, it's the rule of thumb with any sport. You spend enough time at it, you will be good. I
Yep.
mean, there's studies, a study of 1,000 hours. You spend 1,000 hours, you're
Yep.
going to be better than I think 90% of the population or something like that.
That's
There you
true.
So
go.
I say that, but also my favorite saying is not practice makes perfect, because practice does not make perfect. It will never make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Because if anybody can go out there and practice and not do research and just kind of fish in the moment and not look towards the future and fish and practice improperly, and you'll never improve.
Right.
So there's definitely that aspect. And, that's kind of, I love being on the water. And as long as I'm practicing perfect, I think every single second I'm on the water is definitely beneficial.
Yep.
That's the way I look at it for me.
All right, D. So, well, congratulations again, Angler of the Year. I can't remember. Was it how many EQ? Was it like 100?
176.
176 EQ anglers.
I think that's signed up at the beginning of the year. I don't know how many fished all night.
Right, right. But still, it's a heck of a field, man.
Heck of a
It's
field.
a very large field. It's probably the largest field there is right now that fished that many tournaments in a row throughout a season. I don't think that the pro circuit has it, or the elites. No.
Mm-mm.
Not
No.
saying
Nope.
not saying the competition is, the same, but it's definitely, there's a lot of young, hungry guys and there's a lot of veterans. So I think it has a good blend. There's also elite guys jumping in these tournaments and locals. So it's definitely, I'm proud to, be a part of that field and, have the finishes that I've had in that field.
Looking ahead, man, what are your thoughts on both your personal growth as an angler and the future for competitive fishing for you? We know you're going to the elites, but
Yeah, I'm super stoked because I feel like I'm just getting started. I'm just getting to where I feel like I'm making big improvements. You know, it's the same, like the more you know, the more you can learn. I feel like it's funny because visually you learn a lot more whenever you don't know a lot. But really you start making the actual meaningful jumps once you already are to established angler, I feel like. Like you see certain anglers that they're steady in this 40ths and they
right.
pick up one little thing and they're bam in the top tens. Like I'm watching one angler that I love watching, and he's probably one of my favorite anglers in the world right now is Carl Jacobson. And if you watch him every year, he's started here, and every year he's just steady up and up and up. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon because he's hungry, he works extremely hard, and he's passionate about what he does. And I feel like if I work hard, stay passionate what I do, even though I'm where I'm at now, I think I can steadily make improvements every single year. But that's up to me. And so that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited that this where I wanted to be now, and that it's only up from here. It's all up to me. If I want to, continue to get better, I can. It's just I got to make the right decisions in the future and stay on top of it and don't get lazy. And I can make those improvements. So
There
that's
you
what I'm
go.
excited about.
So girls, leave this guy alone because he's just gonna fish. I mean, he's gonna fish for the next 20 years. Just leave him alone, women. All right. He has got one thing on his mind, and it is not you. This 21-year-old is going to win a Bassmaster Classic. That's what's on his mind. Um, you know, after you won, after things are kind of settled in and you're like kicking yourself, I'm going to fish the Bassmaster Elites in 2024. Have you really sat down and thought about the season? I mean, because it'll be here before you know it. I mean, heck, it's already November. And I was thinking about the other day, we got expos coming up in about 2 months, literally 2 months. And then, it's the season begins. Have you started working on 2024 sponsorship deals? Uh, you know, we all have goals, but writing down goals, etc., getting that mindset together. Because like I said, you're on the road, you fish a lot of tournaments. But this is when the entry fee goes up. I mean, we really, we're talking $5,000 a tournament here. I mean, that's a lot of grocery money, boys and girls. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's a whole lot. So you got to be focused and ready to go.
Yeah, that's what I've been, turning a lot of my focus. Like I haven't fished for the last week and a half, 2 weeks maybe. I've been trying to get as much sponsorship done, getting my, my old boat sold, just trying to, handle the business side of it and just trying to figure out how I'm gonna, you know, fish next year. And, that's what I've been focused on right now. And it's definitely been a change of pace for me. I'm not used to having to do the business side of it and learning. There's so many things you don't even think of that I'm, starting to
Yeah.
learn about that I should have thought of previously. So I'm definitely working on it. It's gonna be a learn in progress type thing, and hopefully we can get as much as we can done before the off season. That way I can get back out there on the water and make sure I show out next year. And all the sponsors that hop on board, I need to make I need to benefit them, and I know the best way I can benefit them is go win a tournament or win Angler of the Year or win Rookie of the Year. So I needed to do that along with, getting on top of my social media, getting on top of, my sponsors. So I got a lot of responsibilities, making the elites. It just doubled my, I had a lot on my plate before, trying to compete against Opens guys, but I got a lot more on my plate now because I got to compete against elite guys. I got to compete against social media. I got to compete, compete for
Okay.
sponsors. So
So
definitely my
we
plate.
need a woman to come back. We need someone who knows he fishes. We need someone that's
Yeah.
good with your hands on social media. And you got to be able to sell Mr. JT Thompkins, because that's what you're doing. You're actually selling a person. People understand that in world bass
Mhm.
fishing.
Oh yeah.
We're selling a person. I mean, it's not the boat, it's not the boat wrap, it's not the jersey, it's not any of that crap. I hate to say it. I mean, it is the person, the angler himself, and what that person can bring to you. And yeah, you're right. I mean, that was one of the questions I had next is, you're 21 years old, and I ain't mine about ready to turn 21. She ain't never worked a job in her life, but that's the side point. She's going to college. But I mean, it's you've been working your whole life to get to this point right here. And now we got to pump the brakes to get to the next level. And yeah, it is a lot on your plate. And I understand that. And, it's going to, don't, don't be afraid to ask for help. I can tell you that right now. Cause
Yeah.
outside, because it's a lot to it these days. People don't understand what it is. I mean, I've watched videos, I've seen, influencers, and a lot of people won't talk to you unless you got 5 or 10, 15,000 followers on social media. And I mean,
Yep.
because they're looking for the best bang for their dollar, because they know you're not going to win every tournament. Yes, you're going to walk across stage, you're going to hold up some fish for a few minutes, but you got to be able to talk. People got to be able to listen, and people got to want to listen. And that's the
Mhm.
main, and that's the thing right there. And that it has to be, there's a lot of anglers I've interviewed, people like can't say put 3 syllables together. I
Yeah.
mean, I hate to say it. I mean, it is what it is, but they can't put 3 syllables together, and it ends up killing them. Because I mean, they start off big, local area stores sponsor them, but they can't make it to that next level
Mhm.
because they can't
Well,
wrap it all up together.
and even one of the small things that you've got on your plate now is, I'm assuming, in the opens you were traveling with your cousin, your dad, and I don't
Right.
know that either one of them made the elites,
Mm-mm.
but now you've got to think about, okay, am I doing this on my own? Who am I hooking up with to travel with? You even got to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely something that I thought of. And I know a little over halfway through the season, me and Tyler Williams, he made the elites as well. We started
Yes.
Nice.
talking and sharing. We were sharing 100% information in the last 4 tournaments. And I think out of those 4 tournaments, we both averaged almost a top 10 in all 4, both of us. And he made a run in the last season. I think he made 4 top 10s in a row or 3 top 10s in a row and had a win. And then
Mm-hmm.
I had 3 top 10s in a row and I think a top 20. So I'm really excited about that avenue. I feel like me and him are going to be hard to handle whenever we get to the elites because we're both hungry and we both have a lot of ways to improve and a lot of ways that we benefit each other in fishing styles. So I'm excited about that side. But like you were saying, it's definitely it's a difficult sport to try to get sponsors in. It's a lot smaller sport than most things, and you have to stick out in that
Yeah.
sport. So I'm I'm excited. Any challenges, I love a challenge, and the bigger the challenge, that's what I like. So I'm excited to, you know, as it goes on, just try to get better and better every single year because that's all you can do. You always want to be better than you were the day before, and as long as I keep getting better than I was, that's progress. You can't jump out the gates and be the best at everything.
True.
And I just need to make sure I need to show improvement as much as I can in the next little while. So I'm excited about that.
I'm done, man, but we appreciate you coming on. Thank you for talking to us. I have one last question. If you could, the 2023 season, if you could just wrap it all up into one line, what would it be, man?
I don't know. I mean, if I had to wrap the entire season up into like a one sentence,
One sentence.
I don't know. I guess elites, here we come. I'm excited.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Congratulations again, JT, man. You're an awesome dude. It was great seeing you in Clarksville, hanging out with you guys. I hope you guys come back.
Absolutely.
I hope the Opens come back there again. It was an awesome time. And
Me too.
it was, I mean, you had a great finish. I mean, yeah, I mean, what, ninth, eighth? What were you there? I can't remember. Eighth, wasn't it? Yeah, eighth
I think it
place
was nine.
finish.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was eighth.
yeah, eighth place.
Eighth place. So I mean, you had a great finish down there in Clarksville, Virginia. Hey, yeah, let's hit that real quick. Do you have a tip for Clarksville? I mean, it was a tough lake. I mean, and that was a tournament that had, I mean, I went from wearing a hoodie on day one to shorts on the final day. So I mean, this had everything wrapped up into one except for snow and rain. Did we have rain? No, we didn't have rain, I don't think.
No, I don't think we had any rain. We
No
just had
rain.
like 50-mile-an-hour winds.
50 mile an hour
Yeah.
winds. But
Yeah,
is there a
but
tip you
if I
could
had
leave
to
somebody
give
for that
one
lake,
tip,
man?
yeah. So I can definitely give you a tip from when I was there, and I could try to help people out for whenever if they were going to go there. So when I was there, we had the spawn going on. It was towards the tail end of the. Maybe it was the tail end or the beginning. I believe it was the tail end. So I believe we spawned post spawn, and we had rising water levels. And I think a lot of people know that fish love to get in the bushes or follow the water level. So you had a lot of fish in the bushes. So anywhere you had spawning bays and anywhere you had an area where fish were spawning, if you found the deepest bushes nearby those were also very good. And then also we had some wind. So if you found any bushes that were on a point, they were hard to find because finding bushes on a point usually means they're shallow, which means they're too shallow.
Right.
So if you ever found anything on points with the right amount of water depth on them, those were really good. And then I also caught when the water level came up, sometimes the fish don't leave. So you have the fish that move and the fish that don't move. And I feel like I caught a lot of my better fish on the fish that didn't move. And they were the fish that were spawning on the 3 to 5 foot stumps. And when the water came up, they became 7 to 8 foot stumps. And I was still able to catch those fish spawning on isolated stumps with live scope and 360. So my number, like, Kerr is a very good pattern lake. So keep the boat moving, cover as much water as you can, fish everything in front of you.
Oh yeah.
Start in one spot, fish down the bank for a mile, then start running every bit of offshore structure for the next mile. And you will find something that works slightly better than the others, and you can run it throughout the whole lake. That's what I love about Kerr. And that was probably my favorite thing about it was that it was so replicable. I could
That's
go
awesome.
anywhere and cast to a stump near a point and get a bite throughout that whole lake. So
That's
that was
awesome.
awesome. That's my
Yeah.
number one tip.
Covering water. That's cool. You got to, I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about it for the English Choice Championship. I mean, I wrote a little story about that, and it's, whoever covers the most water wins.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pattern, like you said, because the guys that did end up winning it were some old timers, and they had a pattern, and they started off that pattern their day and ran their pattern every single day, and ended up paying off.
Mm-hmm.
So,
100%.
dude, you got anything for him, Geek?
That's it, man. Just congratulations, dude. It's like I said, it's good to see the young blood coming up into the sport. I think it is a very positive thing. So, congrats, dude. Way to go.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
JT, we'll be rooting for you next year, 2024 season. Congratulations again on winning angler of the year for the opens and the new EQ qualification. I mean, it's tough as crap. And if you can do that, I think you can go pretty much anywhere, brother. So good luck to you in 2024, and we'll be watching and talking to you soon. Guys, really appreciate Mr. JT Thompkins coming on and talking with us tonight. Congratulations to him on winning, like I said, Bassmaster Open's Angler of the Year, EQ qualification. Gosh, what is it, like over 100 anglers fish the Elite Series, right at 100. And when you're fishing against 200 people, now that's not every tournament. We know that. It's not every daggone tournament. But the EQ itself, 100 and, like you said, over 190 or 170 some anglers, crap load. I mean, you're almost fishing double the field, and you win Angler of the Year. It's pretty freaking awesome. I'm not taking away from any of the Bassmaster Elite Angler of the Years, please. I'm not taking away at all.
But you're fishing against local hammers.
Yeah.
You're fishing against, guys who are coming from other leagues, trying to qualify, who have been pro for a long time.
Yes.
You're fishing against guys who, for whatever reason, just get out there and fish the opens forever, and that's sort of their deal. So there's a lot of competition at that level.
100%.
So to win Angler of the Year, I mean, that says a lot, especially doing it with, like you said, there wasn't one single finish under 50.
It's a heck of a year.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, a lot of guys will jump into this thing, EQ qualify and just fish 3 or 4 events. And I don't understand why they do that either. But I mean, there's a whole lot that goes into it, but it's pretty freaking cool. And congratulations to him to watch this journey progress from a young age. And, it's kind of crazy. Like I said earlier, we're getting, we're talking to a 21-year-old. Most we're talking about most 21-year-olds have usually only been fishing for 2 or 3 years, local tournaments. I think most of them you can't sign up till like 18 or 19 anyway.
Well, realistically, our last 2 guests, I mean, how young they are,
Yes.
or but what gets me about these young guys is just how focused, how they'll quote things, books or, mantras, whatever you want to call them, from motivational, sort of. And it's like they're light years ahead.
Yes.
Mentally than where, a lot of guys their age are. A lot of guys like our age was nowhere near, the mental fortitude, that these kids have. So
you brought up earlier when we were talking to him as well. He did fish the high school. He decided to skip college.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if if you're pretty good at high school, you're able to put all the ducks in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, you've already gone to more lakes than probably, I say 60% of the elite field had been to when they started.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You'd already been to it before they made, when they made their transition to the elites, because we didn't have all these avenues that we currently have now. I don't think YouTube was introduced until like the late 90s. I mean, it's just so much stuff out there that we have now. The internet was 1992 is created. So, I mean, we could dive into all that crap. But I mean, it's light years ahead for these kids. They're 21, 22 years old. And it's gonna be interesting. The next century of bass fishing is going to be really, really interesting.
It is.
Guys, tonight, if you go look at the National Professional Fishing League, their 2024 schedule has already come out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they're at yet, but I'm really looking. You guys all know we record on Wednesday. They're doing a live tonight at 7:30. They're going to be introducing that. I'm hoping to come close to us because I really want to go to one of their events. I'll travel a little bit. can't travel far, but I'll travel a little bit. But I really, really would like to get to one of their events. You guys have all seen the big shakeup by now in the Major League Fishing for the 25 season. I apologize, 25 season, where they're only taking 50 anglers. So they're cutting their field down. So there's a lot of, uncertainty. And what's going to have to, what's going to happen is these opens, they ain't going to be 200 field anymore. We're probably going to look like 250 field.
Well, well, there's, some things going on with Bassmaster too, where they've changed some rules and tightened down on some things. And, I've said it. The industry standard has always been, everybody wants to look at how many fishing licenses have been sold year to year. And there's never really a huge increase up until as I call it, the COVID bubble.
Right.
And I think we're in a perfect storm right now. I was on the lake the other day. There's definitely not as many boats out anymore. There's definitely not pressure. So all those guys that complained about pressure, I think they're going to get their wish. I just wonder if everybody's going to be able to afford to keep going themselves.
Yeah.
And I think about it all the time because, we've said it, my goal is to walk away, to get enough sponsorship to cover the bills and then go pour myself into the social media side and fish a few tournaments here and there and do what, JT's doing.
Right.
Putting time in on the water myself. And, as they always say, if the water don't rise, but I believe it's coming. So it's a scary situation.
It is. It really is. I mean, thank you guys all for being a part of the basscast.com, Basscast Radio as well, following us, liking us, sharing us, all that crazy stuff. And, our numbers have grown tremendously. But like Geek said, we're at a plateau. I used to collect baseball cards. I always bring it up for some crazy reason. But, we had this boom in like the 90s and everybody was making a brand. Every jig companies. Now we got jigs, lures, plastics. Some of the biggest brands in the world are hurting.
Yes.
And, we were all riding this bubble, said, oh, man, it's going to continue. Well, the market's flooded of kayaks. The market is flooded of bass boats.
Yep.
But the bad thing is we're now talking about flooding of $50,000 bass boats because they're 75,000. Something's going to fall eventually. And, I don't want to say we need it, but we need it. It needs to level itself back out. It needs to, get this level back out. And it's only going to help the business as a whole, as an industry, as a company, as a whole. I'm sorry, but some people are going to go under. It's just one of those things. I mean,
there will be.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. I think 100%, maybe not in 2023, because in 2023, when it started out, there may have been that group still bought those licenses early on. But I think from 2023 to 2024, you're going to see a dip compared to the past 2-3 years.
Yeah.
In fishing license sold. Probably for the first time ever.
We're going to wrap it up here, man. Guys, appreciate you all listening. Always, man. Basscast Radio. Thank you all for checking us out on YouTube. Our numbers are going up on YouTube, so thank you there. And also on Spreaker and wherever you listen to podcast. The main two guys are Google and you guys all know iTunes, but we're on Spreaker. We're on oh crap, I ain't got the cards and I'm not getting into it. Have a great weekend, everyone. Basscast will be back on the road this weekend. We got the Basscast Kayak Series wrapping up on Saturday. We got the Bass Nation of Virginia Kayak Series event on Sunday. So I'm going to be on a Crazy Horse Marina all weekend. Come on up if you want to hang out. Love to talk fishing with you. Appreciate you guys being a part of it. Make sure you hit the follow button for Bass Geek. Let's get him free. And it's a dream. We need you guys to make it happen. Have a great night. We'll be talking to you later.